everybody's getting ready to leave, so yeah. Yeah, this one to burn a little bit. Get that burn. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a slow burn. So yeah, last one was a little bit more Xbox focused. The last video, a lot of what I was talking about in that one. This one, we're gonna be talking more about PlayStation and Nintendo because they're not immune to the bullshit as well. And for the past couple of weeks, because of a lot of the dumb stuff that Xbox has been doing, increasing the price of their console for the second time this year, and then increasing the cost of Game Pass, they're getting a lot of the flack and a lot of the attention right now and negative press, which is well deserved. But don't think that PlayStation and Nintendo are immune to the bullshit, because we already seen PlayStation follow suit and raise the cost of their consoles by $50 this year. And then Nintendo, what they did was they increased the cost of the accessories across the board. Yeah, this is a bit of a slow burn. So don't be shocked if they do that again. Now, I don't think they're dumb enough to do something right before Black Friday and Christmas, where a lot of people are shopping and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens from that standpoint. But one of the things I wanted to talk about PlayStation, I did a video a couple weeks ago saying PlayStation remains committed to live service. Only got 80 views. Nobody really watched it, and it wasn't a big topic, right? But there was a meeting that Herman Hulst had. It was an investor it was an investor questionnaire, right, where they answer questions from their investors, right? It was Herman Hulst, the CEO of PlayStation, and then somebody else. It was high level executives at the PlayStation and Sony level, right? And Herman Hulst talked about how they're remaining committed to their live service model, how they're learning the lessons from Concord, and they're working towards making sure that Marathon can launch in a good state. And it was very interesting to listen to a lot of the quotes that he said during that conference, right? And the video didn't get any attention, like I said before, but it's very, very important to pay attention to that, because when we think about this generation of PlayStation up to this point, it's been mediocre. Yeah, the console's good, right? The hardware is good. And they did a lot of positive things this generation, but there's been a lot of negative. One of the biggest things that Jim Ryan did was he put a lot of investment into making sure that they can tap into live service. And people were like, why are they doing this? Well, it's obvious. 53% of the revenue that's generated from the PlayStation Store comes from 10 IPs. 10 IPs. Think about that. 53% of revenue from your digital shop comes from 10 IPs, and none of those are yours. 10 IPs make up 53% of revenue from the PlayStation Store. I know Colin Moriarty talked about this. He highlighted that. If you look at the games and network services segments that they put out the PowerPoint presentations. You can download them. You can go on Sony.com and download them. I put a link in the description to this video. I always put my sources in the description. I also put it in the videos as well. And when you think about that, right, the fact that 10 IPs that do not belong to PlayStation, that do not belong to Sony, make up 53% of the revenue in the PlayStation Store, they want to tap into that. They want to tap into that revenue making. And It's hard. It really is, because what they did was they told their first party studios to start making live service games instead of contracting it out to other studios who are more multiplayer focused. I heard something out there. I don't know what that was. You know, I'm in the mountains. I'm in the forest. It'd be deer, bears, and stuff like that. It's crazy. But yeah, Nintendo, they already have their shit together in regards to their games, like their first party games and stuff like that. But the way that Nintendo be on their bullshit, separate from Sony, because Sony wasted most of this generation chasing live service, and they're gonna continue to chase live service. We've seen cancellations, we've seen studio closures. You had the Bungie acquisition, right? What was it, for $3.6 billion, and that hasn't been panning out well. I made a video about the CEO Pete Parsons stepping down and how Sony was bringing in the reins on Bungie. A lot of cope on that as well. Same thing with the business of Xbox and Game Pass makes no sense videos, right? You got the Bungie fanboys jumping out to defend that studio, which hasn't been the same for years. And Destiny has been completely floundering, so much so that the main content creators and influencers on that game are sick of it now. It's crazy. Their DLCs aren't selling well. They're losing revenue. They're losing player bases. It's just like I said in the last video. Is where you have live service games that fail over time. Destiny is the perfect example of that. And I used to play Destiny a lot. Really good game for a while, but that's the perfect example of a live service game that fails over time, and you have to find a way to reinvigorate that player base so that you can retain players and earn revenue off your game. And Sony doesn't play around when it comes to studios, because they spent a lot of money on Bungie, and trust me, now they're going to be integrated into PlayStation Studios, because when they first got acquired, and they became an independent subsidiary under Sony. Now that independence is gone. I covered all that in that video. Now I'll put the quotes up right here as well so you guys can see. But that's the one thing I do like about Sony and the higher ups at PlayStation. They don't bullshit. They do not play. They don't play. Once they see that you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a studio, they're gonna bring the reins in. They're gonna bring the reins in. That what was it? Lin Tao? Look up Lin Tao. Look at what she said. She said their days of independence are coming to an end. I said, oh shit. Lin Tao is not playing. I'm telling you. Nintendo don't play that bullshit too. You see, the Xbox at their higher ups, right? At Xbox, those executives. You see those guys, Matt Booty, Phil Spencer. They don't have a backbone. They don't have a spine to go in there, keep track of how the development cycle of these games are coming out. Like, look at what happened with Redfall. Perfect example of, like, we thought the game was gonna score 10 points higher in Metacritic. What? If I was there, right, I would have been like, nah, we're not dropping this bullshit ass game. You're gonna scrap this and we work on it. Who was it at Sony and PlayStation that came into Santa Monica Studios and had them scrap their original idea of what God of War 2018 was supposed to be and rework the entire game? I forgot who it was, but one of those executives over there at PlayStation did that, and now look at what happened with God of War. They had a hit with 2018, and then they dropped Ragnarok, which Ragnarok, it's a bit of a give and take with some people. Some people don't think it's good, some people think it's good, but it's still sold well. This is good. This is good. But let's talk about Nintendo for a quick second, because I was thinking about the Switch 2, right? Because I don't have a Switch 2. I have a Switch 1. Plus, I have an Asus ROG Ally, right? And I was like, I watched their most recent Nintendo Direct, and they have a lot of good titles coming out. And I was like, all right, this is looking cool. I'm a big Mario Kart guy, big Pokemon guy. I was looking at that new Metroid Prime 4 that they announced years ago and is just now about to come out, right? And I was like, yeah, this is looking like a pretty interesting lineup of games for Switch 2. But then I looked up the game key card situation, and I was like, oh. The game key cards. So you buy the physical copy, but then you have to insert it and it downloads the game. It gives you the license. It's the same way they do with physical disc games now with a lot of them. You don't even own the physical copy. You need the internet connection to download it. So what happens when, years and years down the line, when Nintendo decides to shut down the servers for Switch 2 like they did in Nintendo Wii, and you own a bunch of game key cards, you better make sure those games are downloaded and saved on your storage, because if you delete those games, they're gonna be gone forever. And then you got Nintendo, they want to patent everything. Mm-mm. I still like them though. Like, you can't deny their output. Like, Nintendo drops games, and they drop bangers. But then it's like, I'm looking up reviews of the Switch 2. I was watching this guy, Nintendo, if I'm saying his name correctly. I'm subscribed to him. I subbed to him a couple days ago. He makes a lot of great Nintendo content. Um, I haven't heard what Blandrew has to say about the Switch 2. I haven't heard of, like, I don't know. I gotta go to his YouTube channel and see if he's been making content on the Switch 2, because he's a big Nintendo guy as well. Shout out to him. Check out his channel. I'm gonna put Blandrew's channel in the description. He makes some really good quality videos. His videos, when I see his videos, like he did the Xbox Series X review a couple years ago, that inspired me. I said, yeah, I gotta get on his level. But I've been watching some guys' reviews and coverage of the Switch 2, and it's kind of underwhelming. They market it as, like, this 60 FPS machine and up to 120 frame rates and stuff like that, and then, like, the reality is a lot of the games aren't hitting the targeted frame rates that they marketed when they first announced it. So I'll probably wait for, like, a sale or a bundle on the Switch 2, like, later on, and then get it. Because I didn't buy Switch 1 until, like, they did the battery revision. That's another thing too, is the battery life on that console sucks. But I also think about, like, the kind of content I can make on off of Nintendo, like streaming Mario Kart, streaming Pokemon and stuff like that would be fun. That's the thing, like they just make fun games. So we'll see. The Mario Kart streams will be so peak though. That's my biggest thing, and the videos I'll be able to make off of that. Same thing with Pokemon and just battling people. This is a pretty big cigar. I'm probably not gonna finish this in one go. I'm probably gonna get like a decent way through it and then finish it later, because this is a slow burn, and smoking this whole thing will mess you up. But yeah. 2026 is gonna be a big year for gaming. Lots of bangers coming out next year. I mean, now we're really starting to turn the corner with this generation in regards to video game releases. Like this quarter, Q4, heading into next year, like I said in my previous videos, 2026 is going to be, there's so many games coming out 2026. Like you have the Returnal follow-up, Wolverine from Insomniac Games, right? The 007 game, First Light, that looks fire. That looks fire. Forza Horizon 6 is coming out next year as well. There's a lot of, like, really solid titles coming out next year. That's definitely a year where it's like, I could see a lot of people buying like 10 to 15 plus games that year, and constantly having a stream of like content to make around those games. So, and then like if it's like, if you didn't buy the games that came out this year, you just wait for a sale and get it next year, right? Like Dying Light, I'm waiting on Dying Light. You know, I love Dying Light, but I'm like, I'll wait on the sale. That's not something I want to pay full price for. You know, there's just like a list of priority of games that you want to play. This is good. This is good. It's La Gloria Cubana. That's the name of the cigar, if anybody's wondering. What else? What else? Yeah, I think we're turning the corner this generation. Despite the price increases with services and hardware and video games, like I said, there's ways to navigate that, right? Navigate around sales and different deals you can do. Right now, it's the Steam Autumn Sale, so there's a lot of titles across the entire Steam store that's on sale. So whatever titles you've been holding off on, you can do that. And then after that, you have the winter sale coming in a couple of months as well. So you have like the major seasonal sales, and then you have the key websites if you're on PC like I am. And I play on console occasionally. Another thing I want to talk about is the PS5 Pro, because I made a video talking about the PS5 Pro. Like, is it worth it? And in that video, let me make some clarifications for some people. It depends on the kind of gamer you are. If you're someone who cares about visuals, if you're someone who cares about image quality and stuff like that, as well as having a steady frame rate, then yes, the PS5 Pro is for you. That's who the console's been marketed for, right? Now, has there been some underwhelming titles that have come for PS5 Pro that got optimized for it? Yeah. There's some hits, there's some misses, but you know, from a first party standpoint, they did a good job in regards to making sure that their first party games are optimized for PS5 Pro, right? There's some other games that need it, but it really depends. It really depends. And I also said in that video that PSSR is going to improve over time. So that implementation of their AI image upscaler for their games, as they start to collect more data from, you know, a lot of sources, then they'll be able to improve it over time, much like DLSS and FSR, right? But I also said this, for PSSR being its first implementation, it's much better than what DLSS and FSR was when those two upscalers first came out. So that's a good sign. Like, obviously, like, because it's an AI upscaler, there's going to be some issues with it. There's going to be some rocky things with it, but it's still solid for its first implementation. So it's only going to improve moving forward. Do I think it's worth $750? I don't know. But if you're a hardcore gamer, then it's worth the price for you. Like I said, it all depends on the kind of gamer you are. A lot of people bought the PS5. They're fine with the PS5, right? A lot of people they don't know nothing about frame rates. They don't know nothing about resolution and image quality and stuff like that. Now there's games that have come out where it's like it's blatant. Like, even if you're not a hardcore gamer, you're like, yeah, this game looks like shit. It runs like crap. It feels horrible, right? Perfect example of it on the base PS5 was Final Fantasy 16. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get through that game on base PS5. Could not. It looked so bad. The image quality, the frame rate drops on that. I couldn't do it. So now I just wait. I'm like, all right, you know, if the game looks like shit on PS5, I'll just get it on PC. That's it. No need for me to get a PS5 Pro when I got a PC. And then the games, especially the PlayStation exclusives, they're coming out on PC quicker than they used to years ago. So sometimes you play the wait game. Now, if the base PS5 version of the game is a good port, then I'll get it on PlayStation and just chill on it. But for the most part, I stick with PC for a lot of my games. You just have so many options to tweak, so many settings to tweak to get the perfect balance of visuals and frame rate. So you can't beat that. And with the PS5 Pro, it achieves that to an extent for some games, but a lot of games, especially like the third party games, it's hit or miss with their PS5 Pro updates. But as we move forward into the generation, I don't know, we'll see more, but by that time, PS6 is right around the corner. We're 5 years into this generation. 2026 is a couple months away. But I think that the PS5 Pro was more of like of an experiment, honestly. More of an experimental console to get out there and really test the waters with what they can get away with, because they didn't give you a vertical stand. There's a lot of stuff they didn't give you with that console versus the base PS5, where it's like, come on, man. And then they charged $700 at launch, and now it's $750, and it's like, You get a Switch 2 Pro controller, a couple games. I'm sorry to be the one to make this argument, but like, I think that I think that the Switch 2 I think that the Switch 2 is a better proposition than the PS5 Pro. That's just me personally. Some people are gonna like be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I don't care. You heard it here from me. Switch 2 is a better proposition than the PS5 Pro. But yeah, Nintendo and Sony, they be on that bullshit too. Not just Xbox. Think about Xbox is in the position right now where it's like, why would you do that? Why would you raise the price of your consoles twice within a year? Why would you increase the cost of Game Pass? Especially when your platform is struggling. At least with PlayStation and Nintendo, both of their platforms and generations are extremely profitable. Extremely profitable. The PlayStation 5 has been the most profitable generation for Sony ever, even over PS4. And they put the data points out there to show you. This is good. This is a good smoke. Saturday. Today's Saturday. It's nice. The sun is coming down. Like I said, final couple days before the fall. Well, before winter. So you have to enjoy it. Today hit like the mid 70s. So it was perfect. Right? Like, I'm in the Northeast, right? And I'm in the mountains. So during like the evenings and early mornings, temperatures are like in the 40s or 50s. And in the morning, what I do is I go for a walk around the entire community, which is like a little over a mile. So I go for my walk, I get the blood pumping, right? Get the endorphins high. And it's great. It feels amazing. And it's like in the 50s, low 60s. So it's a little bit of a breeze. And it's like amazing. And then it hits like the 70s, the high 60s. And this is like the time of the year where it's like, yeah, I love the weather. When it's the summer, it's too hot. But late summer, early fall, as well as like the brief moment in springtime as well, where it's not too hot, it's the perfect like seasons for me. That's what I like personally. And the winters aren't that bad as well. Like, we're definitely gonna be doing cigar yap sessions in the wintertime when the snow is out here. So you guys are gonna see this environment when the snow is out here. Those are gonna be good videos as well. Ooh. Yeah, I might make another video finishing off the rest of this, because this is like this is a slow burn, and I can't finish all this in one try. So what have you guys been playing? Are you guys like in this super casual mode right now, where you're just, defaulting back to your regular games, or is there anything new that you guys are playing, or if you guys are going back and playing older games? I always say there's always something to play, whether it's the new games that are coming out, whether it's older games that you never got to play. There's always something to play. So, you know, this is narrative that some people like to put out that, oh, gaming is dying. Is not. Oh, they're getting pretty animated in there. Getting all the travel plans in order for tomorrow. But this is pretty much it for the video from me, guys. Leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe, and we're out. Peace.